Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Trishy, and for today's class we will be doing a grounding practice. So come and take your comfortable seat, cross-legged or kneeling or on a block. Place your palms on your knees, lengthen through your spine, bringing your shoulders onto the back body, and feel free to close your eyes. Begin to bring your awareness to your breath. The natural inhale and exhale through the nose. Just take a moment. Bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart. Inhale deeply through your nose as you exhale through your mouth. And release. First pose we'll come into is a wide-legged child's pose. So let your big toes touch, hips sit back onto the heels, stretch your arms forward and let your forehead rest down onto the mat. Feel all parts of your body that are connecting to the earth and let them feel heavy and relaxed. Let your inhale fill your ribs, front to back, side to side. Fill your belly and then exhale all the breath out. Keep breathing peacefully. If you'd like to go a little further, you can bring your palms together in prayer position and bring your thumbs onto the back of the neck. Take one more deep, cleansing breath in through your nose, filling up your belly. And exhale, release the palms back down to the mat. Press into your hands to lift back up. Come into tabletop pose with shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and begin to do a little cat and cow. On the inhale, dropping the belly, lifting your gaze. And on the exhale, chin to chest, round. Take a couple more rounds at your own pace. Inhaling, expanding. Exhale, contract. Bring your spine into neutral position. And we'll come into a puppy stretch. So keep your hips over top of your knees. Bring your forehead down to the mat as you extend your arms out over your head. Keep your lower abdominals a little bit engaged here so that you're not slouching or rounding in the lower back. Have your shoulder blades wrapping away from each other. And again, feel the contact of your forehead on the floor. Grounding down. Lift back up. Curl your back toes under. And come and sit on your heels. So your back toes are curled under. You can look back at your baby toes and make sure that they're also grounding on the mat. Bring your arms out into a 90-degree angle out in front of you and take eagle arms, wrapping your right arm underneath the left, binding once or twice. Keep your shoulders a little bit lifted with your elbows and keep your shoulders away from your ears. Lift up and release. We'll go to the opposite side. Bring your arms into a 90-degree angle in front of you, and then wrap your left arm around your right one, binding once or twice. Lift through the elbows as you keep your shoulders away from your ears. And release. Walk your palms forward. Lift your hips up and bring your feet to the wide edges of your mat and take a ragdoll fold. So you're folding over your thighs, clasping onto opposite elbows, and just letting yourself dangle. Feel free to rock forward and back, side to side, leaning forward, grounding down. Bend your knees and lift all the way up, raising your arms overhead and bring them in front of your heart in prayer position. Bring your feet hip distance apart. Extend your arms, palms facing forward into mountain pose. And then just begin to lean forward a little bit and back, side to side, until you find your true center. Once you've found it, you can come into stillness. Bring your hands in prayer in front of the heart center and sit your hips back for chair pose. So you're lengthening through the tailbone, shifting your weight a little bit onto the heels, not so much in the toes. Lengthen through your chest. Lift up through your toes a little bit. As you drop forward, bending over your thighs, ragdoll fold. So instead of clasping onto opposite elbows, I'm just choosing to let the backs of my hands just rest on the mat. It's a little bit more of a grounding feel for me. But you can feel free to take any variation you like. Place your palms onto your shins, lift up halfway, and then fold over your thighs. Bend your knees, lift up all the way, arms overhead, palms in prayer. Shift your weight onto your right leg. And then bend your left knee, lifting the knee as high as you can. So you're strengthening the hip flexors here, and then come into tree pose. So you can clasp a hold of your left foot, either bringing it to the right shin or the right inner thigh. Just make sure that your foot is not on the knee. If you feel comfortable and you're gazing at something that is not moving, feel free to raise your arms overhead. Keep that right hip plucking in so you're not relaxing it out to the side. Bring your arms and your hands in prayer position. Release the hold of the left foot. Come back into mountain pose. And put your weight onto the left foot as you lift your right knee up as high as you can. If you wanted to go a little bit further, feel free to straighten the right leg. And then come into tree pose, either placing your right foot to the inner left shin or thigh. Keep your left hip plucking into your midline And if you feel stable, feel free to raise your arms overhead. Inhale deeply as you lengthen, and exhale, bring your palms back down. Release your right foot back down to the mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold over your thighs. Walk your palms out in front of you and step back into our first downward dog. So feel free to paddle the feet, bending one knee and then the opposite one. Press your chest to the thighs. Then slowly and mindfully roll forward into plank pose, shoulders over wrists. Drop your knees and your chest, then your chin down to the mat. Top of the feet are grounded and come into Sphinx pose. So your shoulders are over your elbows and you're spreading through your fingers. Shoulders are lifting onto the back body as much as possible. And if you wanted to make this a little bit easier for any kind of compression on your lower back, simply walk your elbows and your forearms a little bit further away from you. If you wanted a little bit more intensity, you can just walk your elbows closer to you. Lower down to the mat and bring your left arm in a 90-degree angle thereabouts from your shoulder line. Then spin onto your left hip, left knee, left side of your face. So this is a shoulder opener. You can either keep your knees bent or straighten them out. And you can come up onto your right fingertips, or you can bend your right elbow and bring your hand, back of your palm, to your lower back. So this is opening up your left shoulder blade. If you're feeling too much intensity, just keep your right palm on the floor. Release your right foot down, straighten through your legs. We'll just go to the opposite side. So bend your right arm. Elbow is straight out from your shoulder, arm bend in a 90-degree angle. Roll on to your right hip, right side of your head. And you can either bend your knees or keep them straight. Come up onto your left fingertips. You can either stay there or bend your elbow, bringing the back of your palm and arm onto your lower back. Take notice of what you're feeling in your right shoulder blade. Release your left palm down to the mat, straighten through your legs, plant your palms underneath your shoulders, and lift up into tabletop pose. Bring your right foot in between your palms for low lunge, so you can choose how far you want your left knee to go back away from you or closer in front. Straighten through your spine and open your chest. Drop your hips a little bit deeper, and then exhale, straighten through your right leg, toes pointing towards your face. Come up onto your fingertips as you lengthen through your spine. bringing your chest bone away from your pubic bone. Bend your right knee, plant your palms down, come back into tabletop pose, and we'll switch sides. So bring your left foot in between your palms, back knee down to the ground, lowering your hips, staying onto your fingertips, and opening your chest. So you control how deep you would like to go in this low lunge. But try to take notice at how your body is feeling. On an exhale, straighten through your left leg. Have your left toes pointing towards your face. Feel free to keep a slight bend in your knee, or more than a slight bend. And extend your chest away from your pubic bone, straightening through your back body as much as possible. Bend your left knee. Come back into tabletop pose. On an inhale, raise your right arm overhead. And exhale, thread your right arm underneath your body, bringing your right ear down to the mat for thread the needle. So try to keep your hips over top of your knees and be sure that your hips weren't sliding one way or the other. And I like to right now just come up onto my left fingertips. I feel that gives a good stretch, and it also keeps your left shoulder away from your ears. Ground into your left fingertips. Re-raise your right arm overhead, then drop it down to the mat. Inhale, lift your left arm up and open your chest. Then thread your left arm underneath your chest, bringing your left ear and shoulder blade down to the mat. Take notice if your hips had shifted during the movement, and you can come up onto your right fingertips. So the further away your arm is, the more intense this will be. Plant through your right fingertips, raise your left arm overhead, and bring it back down to the mat. Walk your hands forward a little bit and lift your hips up and back to downward dog. Press your chest towards your thighs. Then take tiny little baby steps up to the top of the mat. Bend your knees, lift up all the way, then bring your palms together at heart center. Come and face the long edge of your mat. Have your big toes touch, heels apart about an inch or so, and come into mountain pose in this variation. So palms are shining forward. Find your center again. Feel free to close your eyes and feel grounded and stable. Bring your palms together in prayer position. Take a couple breaths. Inhale deeply, and then exhale through your mouth. Let your feet come wide, heels in, toes out for temple pose. So bend your hips down so that your knees are coming over top of your heels and your ankles. Try to keep your knees open and over top of those ankles. So you can place your palms on top of your knees and squat down. It helps to accentuate the squat a little bit. And then inhale, drop your left shoulder down, opening up, twisting to the right. And switch sides, right shoulder down, left shoulder up and open, gazing over to the left. Drop your hips a little bit lower. And then bring your fingertips down to the mat. Bring your stance in a little bit as you come into Balasana or Yogi squat. So you sit your hips down as far as you can. You can either sit on a block or place a towel underneath your heels. Either way, bring your elbows to the inside of your knees. Use them to open your knees up as well as your glute strength. Lengthen up and out of the spine. Open your chest as much as possible. And then drop your right arm to the mat outside your right knee and lift your left arm overhead. As you can see I'm doing here, I'm just pushing a little bit onto my left knee just to open up the hips a little bit more. Drop your left palm to the inside of your left knee and then raise your right arm overhead. And you can again just use your right palm to open up your right knee a little bit more. Come back center into prayer position. Look up. And then extend your legs to the wide edges of your mat. Longest part of your foot to the short edge of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold over, wide-legged forward fold. So you can have a slight bend in your knees here so that you're not hyperextending or locking your joints. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Plant your fingertips, lift up halfway. Then drop your left knee down to the mat. Right leg stays the same. So you're coming into gate pose. Drop your right palm down onto your right leg. Left arm reaches up and overhead. Open through your left shoulder and then come back center, dropping your left fingertips down to the mat and then raising your right arm over your head. Lift all the way back up. Bend your right knee, bring it down to the mat, and then extend your left leg out to the side. Foot parallel to the short edge of your mat. Slide your left arm down your left leg, and then lift your right arm overhead as you open your chest out to the right. And then come back center, dropping your right fingertips down to the mat. Left arm overhead. So feel free to spin your chest up and open to the sky. Keep your right hip plucking in so it's not swaying out to the side. Come back center, palms in prayer, knees together, spin forward to the top of your mat, and then curl your back toes under for downward dog. Drop your knees down to the mat, big toes touch, hips go back to the heels, forehead down, child's pose. If you have any lower back sensitivity, feel free to bring your knees a little bit closer together, and you can extend your arms backwards beside your body. Again, feel all parts of your body that are connecting to the ground. And send your breath into those body parts that are grounding down. Expand your rib cage in all directions, letting your breath fill the back body as well. Ground down through your palms. Walk your palms back in, bring your knees together. Cross at the ankles and then come and take a seat, extending your right leg out in front of you. Left foot to the inside of your right thigh, raise your arms overhead, and instead of keeping your spine straight, try not to push or pull yourself into the pose in any way, and completely relax your upper spine. So in this case, it's okay to round your back as long as you're not using any muscular engagement. So completely relax. And if you'd like, you can bring a block to your forehead to help support you. So from this point in the practice, we're going to be slowing it down a bit and holding poses for a little bit longer. If you notice that you're fidgeting or moving around or adjusting things a lot in these poses, feel free to back off the intensity a little bit so that on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being pain and 1 being you feel nothing, you should be staying around a 4 or a 5, simply because we're going to be holding the poses a little bit longer from this point on. Very slowly and mindfully lift your head, plant your palms into the ground, and very slowly lift back up. We'll switch sides, so extend your left leg out in front of you, right foot to the inner left thigh. Straighten your spine as you inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold over your left thigh. Completely relaxing your upper body so you're not pushing or pulling in any way, and allowing yourself to round. If you wanted to control the distance on which gravity is guiding you, feel free to place a block underneath your forehead. If your breath has become restricted in any way, or if you're not breathing naturally, feel free to back off the pose a little bit. In any case, plant your palms and slowly and mindfully lift back up. And then place your palms behind you and just simply windshield wiper your knees from side to side to release any tension that might have built up in your spine. Come to face the long edge of your mat and extend your legs both out to either side for front splits. You can bring your right palm onto your right thigh and then lift your left arm overhead. So you control how far you go. You can just simply place your right palm onto your thigh, lift back up, and we'll just go to the opposite side. So slide your left palm down your left leg and then lift your right arm overhead. So you're really trying to spin your chest open and up to the sky instead of collapsing and rounding in your upper back. Inhale, lift back up. Lengthen through your spine, and then simply fold in between your thighs, again letting your palms face the sky. If this is too intense in any way to fold in between your thighs, simply either sit up on a blanket or a pillow or a block if you're leaning back in the pose, and that will help you simply to let your palms rest down on the mat, and you can work the pose from there. Let gravity guide you deeper. As you try to relax everything possible in the pose. Slowly begin to lift your head back up. Use your palms to gently lift yourself and straighten your spine. Palms behind you again, just simply windshield wiper your legs from side to side. And from here we'll come into supported fish. So I'll be using my blocks, placing the first block on the second height to the lengthways of the mat, and that block will go in between my shoulder blades, and then I'll simply just lower my head down onto the second block. So again, you control how deeply you go. You can just have the blocks on the first setting, you can use a pillow or a bolster, it's really up to you. And in this variation, you can keep your legs straight, or what I'm doing is bringing the soles of the feet together to touch, letting my knees go wide. And you can also place blocks or pillows or books or anything under your knees in this variation as well. Feel free to close your eyes as you ground down through this grounding heart opener. If your legs were in butterfly and they're starting to get tired or sore in any way, just feel free to extend them out in front of you. So use your palms to help your knees come back in if they were still bent to the side. Roll over to one side and remove your blocks. Then you can just simply lower back down to the mat. Then you can bend into your right knee, crossing your right foot over top of your left knee. So this is reclined pigeon. So make sure that you keep that right foot flexed in order to protect your knee. And you can either just keep your left foot on the ground, or you can bring your left knee in, either interlacing your fingers behind the shin, on top of the shin, or on the belly of your hamstrings. And then as what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of doing some ankle rolls one way and then the other, and then coming into stillness. If you're not feeling enough with your foot on the ground, but aren't able to come into the interlaced fingers, just simply place your left foot onto a block or a couple blocks, depending on how far you want to go. Release your left knee down to the ground. Keep your legs exactly as they are. Bring your arms into a cactus shape and shift your hips a little bit over to the right, and then drop your left knee down to the mat and your right foot connects to the floor. So this is an IT band stretch. It's a good counter stretch for all the hip openers that we've been doing. And you can either take your left fingertips and simply just kind of press your right knee a little bit away from you, and that will accentuate the stretch. Or you can just simply leave it in cactus shape, or you can clasp on to your right ankle. So you can feel free to close your eyes as we wind down our practice. When I'm doing my own personal practice, I love to grab an eye pillow or folded up little towel in one way, or just place it over top of my eyes. Gently lift your hips back center and your knees, and then cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee. And you can use your fingertips to push that left knee away from you. And then bend your right knee, either placing it on a block or just keeping your foot on the floor, or interlacing your fingers on the shin or behind the knee. So again, I'm just taking a couple ankle rolls here. You can feel free to do whatever feels great at home, any little movements that feel just right. Keep your shoulders grounded and head on the mat. If they're lifting up in order to get into the pose, you've gone too far. Okay, on your exhale, lower your right foot down to the mat, shift your hips over to the left a little bit, and then bring your left foot to the ground, dropping your right knee onto the mat. So I'm just using my right fingertips to press my knee a little bit away, and then clasping hold of the left ankle. Collarbones are facing up. Left shoulder is grounded to the mat. If it's not, you can always place a blanket underneath your shoulder. Slowly lift your knees back up, uncross your legs, bend your knees, hug your knees into your chest. Feel free to rock side to side, massaging your lower back. And then extend your legs out in front of you for Shavasana. Palms are facing the sky, shoulders are on your back body. Lengthen through your head and neck. Feel free to place a bolster or pillows or blocks under your knees, or support your head with a pillow as well. anything you need to do to feel completely comfortable, relaxed, and grounded for the next couple minutes. Begin to wake up, wiggling fingers and toes. Turn your head side to side if that feels nice. Feel free to raise your arms overhead and take a big stretch. Point through your toes. Take a big breath. Turn to one side. Use the strength of your arms to help yourself up and come and take a comfortable seat. Place your palms on top of your knees, and then bring your fingertips down beside your hips on the floor and kind of use the strength of your arms to create a resistance, so you're really grounding your arms down into the earth. Feel that stability. Strong and stable. Release and bring your palms in prayer in front of your heart space. Inhale deeply through your nose as you exhale through your mouth. Thank you so much for practicing today with me, yogis. I hope you have a beautiful day. And please subscribe to my channel. I put out new classes every single Friday. Thank you so much. Namaste.